Hi, friends. Host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and I'd like to respond to this Frank James video. I haven't really watched but 5 seconds of it or so, but I think I know where he's going with it, which is sort of a critique of FI aphorisms, and I think those are appropriate to critique in general. So let's see what Frank has to say about it.
Be yourself. Just be yourself. It'll be okay. Just be yourself. You go into that job interview, just be yourself. You go into that first date, just be yourself. Do it. Just be yourself is a big piece of advice that I'm sure we've all been told over and over again, either by people in real life or by a movie, TV shows. Frickin' Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. It's everywhere. The thing is, I don't think that be yourself, just that advice. Yeah, be yourself. I'm not sure that by itself is great advice at all. And it might actually be hazardous in the long run. But stick with me here. Stick with me.
All right, so there's lots of ways to approach this thing. Be yourself. It might be good advice if you interpret it correctly, right? So that if you know who yourself is and what you ought to be in manifesting the self in a given circumstance, then I think it is good advice. But there's lots of circumstances where knowing myself means being less like myself as well. If I want to achieve the outcomes I want, or if I want good results.
Frank, what do you mean? Are you trying to say that I should try to be someone else? No, let's stop. Let's say what I'm not saying, first of all. I'm not saying try to be someone else. I mean, let's just start there. When we're going for this be yourself stuff, let's just start with don't try to be something you're not. Let's just start there. That's a simple place to be. A good groundwork. Now, the thing is, though, when you say be yourself, it's a little absurd, isn't it? It's like, okay, well, what do I do? Could you tell me a little bit about myself so I could be this right now? If you ask me to tell me a little bit about yourself, tell me who you are. I don't know. Like, could you tell me, please? I would be at a loss, and I often am in any situation, like an interview for a job or something, or on a first date.
That's to be expected for somebody with SI and FI on the back of the stack, right? He's going to have very little sense of who he is, and to the extent that he does have a sense of who he is, it's mostly going to come from the role function 8th slot SI and or potentially from the countervalued FI, and that's less appealing to him than the SI. So really the INFJ's way to self is through SI more than anything else, but this is completely consistent with an INFJ's perception or lack thereof of self.
Or just getting to know a new friend. If they ask this wide open question like, tell me about yourself, tell me who you are, I'm like, I don't know. Especially when we're kids and we're told, just be yourself. Like when we're having trouble at school, trouble making friends or whatever, trouble fitting in, and our parents are like, it's okay, little Johnny, just be yourself. What does that even mean? I don't even know who I am. So just from the get-go, saying be yourself would be like telling someone, yeah, you get to the moon by going up. That's better advice than saying going down, but it's not going to get you there. It might.
Okay, credit where due. That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy, and he deserves props for that great analogy. I'm a bit of an aficionado of analogies, and that's a good one. It's like saying go to the moon, but you get to the moon by going up. Okay, well, that doesn't really provide a pathway for me, does it? It just, like he says, better advice than go down, but not very useful.
Accidentally get you there, but you need to know exactly what you're doing. Here's the other part of that, and I've mentioned something to this effect before. There is a danger in being yourself and being authentic because it can be a way for us to trick ourselves into never growing and staying in the same low status forever because we're like, that's just who I am. You know, a lot of times I talk about being more social, and you know, for introverts it can be difficult, and especially for people.
I think to some extent here, Frank's not understanding the FI's perspective on authenticity, which is, you know, an FI user is maybe going to say something like, this is just how I am and I'm just going to stay this way and blah, blah, blah. But more likely, they're going to have a clear sense of what they want. That's the advantage of using introverted feeling. So for somebody who's a strong introverted feeler, then be yourself is good advice. Because ultimately, their agenda in life is to realize that which they know is precious to them. And so it's hard to imagine a first or second slot FI user mishandling that advice in this fashion. But still, I'm enjoying this video. I think he's saying good things.
Like me dealing with social anxiety, it can be difficult to get out there and talk to people, make new friends. But the thing is, if I tell myself to be true to myself is to just be, you know, I'm shy, I'm scared. I'm going to be true to myself and not talk to anyone ever again. I'm going to be true to myself and never leave the house. Or it's sort of like, I'm big boned, you know, I can't be in shape. That's who I am. Now, we might not ever say the words, you know, being true to myself, being who I am is to be out of shape. But it wouldn't surprise me if some of you watching thought to yourself, oh, actually, I have thought something like that, where I'm trying to diet or stick to an exercise program, and I'm like, this just isn't me. I'm not being true to myself. But it's just a trick, because what is yourself? What is be yourself? It doesn't really include a lot of things. I've talked about identity before. I have my third podcast episode, I think, was about identity and how it's all about all these extraneous things around us that can change anyway. So when we're like, be myself, but all that stuff, my brain is shorting. The sentiment behind be yourself isn't bad, but there's a better way to go about it. Let me just go into depth a little bit.
All right, so he's wrong about the body stuff. People really ought not perceive a supposedly more healthy state, which is to say a skinnier state, as actually better. It really depends on the individual, and it's absolutely not the case that if you're fatter, then you need to do something about it, because it's 90% genetics. I mean, I'm skin and bones, but I stuff myself all the time. It's simply a matter of metabolism, and it is true that a lot of people have a body type that retains weight for, I guess, in case we run out of food or something, you know, like make you famine resistant. But and it might be your decision to say, okay, well, I'd like to eat less food so I retain less weight or something. But understand that the current society's like phobia about fat is reprehensible, and that all these health sort of arguments are actually just ontological violence against fat people. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Depth, not too much depth. Let's not kid ourselves. We're on YouTube. But to be true to yourself, to be yourself, and simultaneously push yourself beyond where you are, you know, to bring yourself to a place of growth. It's not like just do what feels right. It's more like take an honest look at yourself and see what do you have to work with, and then really work with that and really develop that. It may mean pushing yourself. It may mean going out of your comfort zone so that you can grow. But what it doesn't mean is denying what you have and pretending that you have something you don't have. You know what I mean? Everyone has been given a certain amount of innate skills, innate orientations to how they see the world and how they act in the world. And you need to recognize that part of yourself and be true to that. But that is like a very basic thing, and it can be developed and worked with. It's not something that you just let sit forever. Say, for instance, what you have to work with. Like, you've looked into yourself, and one of your strengths is really understanding other people and their problems. But you don't have the skill of being naturally able to just go up to anybody and talk to them and create an instant rapport. So to be true to yourself would be to realize, I'm good at this one thing, but I'm not good at this other thing. But being yourself doesn't mean I'm never going to talk to anyone else. I'm never going to push myself in that other way, because then you...
Implicit in TI, and certainly it's coming through here as his hidden agenda, is a valuing of objective self-criticism. And his advice here is basically, engage in objective self-criticism. Be honest with yourself about your respective skill sets, and be brave enough to tackle your weaknesses head on in some regard, and to optimize thusly. And again, I think it's somewhat type specific, that it's important for him. It's important for a lot of TI users with TI on the front stack to ultimately develop that skill. I mean, I think that it's the way towards optimization, especially for INFJs and ISFJs, is to learn to be objectively self-critical, and that's going to allow them to make decisions that are inconsistent with the perceptions of others sometimes, and or their own feelings even, maybe. But the thing about that is it's what third slot TI people need, because it allows everything else to fall into place. Just as for me, I need to be socially graceful and engaging and likable and nice and stuff like that, and everything else falls into place. And if I can't pull that off, then shit doesn't really fall into place. It has a lot to do, I think, life, with your third slot function and how you approach it, and whether or not you're willing to grow in it. It's a touchy area to grow in. I don't like it when Kimberly criticizes my FE. She doesn't like it when I criticize her TI. But it's the area where we both have the most potential really to grow, because it's the balancer of our tool function. It's the thing that the tool function needs to work in coordination with to be maximally effective.
Except for we're both so extremely stubborn, it'll probably never happen.
It's happening right now.
Oh.
We're making a lot of progress. You're getting more self-critical. I'm getting more self-critical about FE. You know, I'm recognizing the limits of TI to be a modality that contains all the things it needs to. You know, it's tempting for NHPs to default back to, well, I'll just TI this, and then it'll. What are you laughing about?
Look at that girl.
Sarah in her TWFP shirt. She got a yellow one. I'm happy that Sarah's doing well.
Look at her. The message is, got the truck back. Yeah. Where are y'all at? How's the harmony of the household going?
You should tell her to come by. Stop by.
I love her.
Yeah, I like her a lot too. She's a good person. Anyway.
I think you should marry her if I die.
I'm not attracted to her at all.
So? You're not attracted to me either.
That's not true.
You think I'm hot? You thought I was hot when you met me?
I still do, Cam. Why don't we have sex every day? Is it because I don't want to have sex with you every day?
No, it's because you come to bed at 3 a.m. and I'm not horny then.
Cam.
Yeah.
You've won. You've won that battle. You've already won that battle. Don't pretend that you haven't.
That was the best video I've seen in a long time.
Hey, Zandy, if you watch this video and you make it all the way to the end here, if you email me your mailing address, I will mail you that painting back there. Okay? As a gift to you.
Oh my god, that's like nostalgic. What are you talking about?
She says she likes the painting. It's not. I don't have a lot of nostalgia, and I don't have any nostalgia particularly for that painting.
I do.
Really? Why?
Okay.
If Zandy wants it, Zandy can have it.
Okay.
I'm not attached to it.
Alrighty.
I painted that thing in my early 20s.
How did you know I wasn't attached to it?
You've never said a single positive thing about it.
Why do you think it's up there on the wall?
I think I put it there.
No.
Oh. Well.
Why do you think it's always out?
I mean, look, I didn't even know
You
this
always
thing.
put it away and I always put it back up.
I I didn't even know this thing existed or had no real recollection of it for many years until my friend Cameron gave it to me. And it was a cool moment to receive it. But I would like someone else to have a cool moment of it too. It's a pretty silly painting. If you see it up close, you change your minds, Andy. I wouldn't blame you. But, yep.
That's a butthole.
It's not a butthole. It's like a, I don't know what it is.
Corn.
I think it's a sea cucumber, maybe.
You don't think it's corn?
I have no idea what it is. I do vaguely remember painting it, but yeah. It's something that I lived without for many, many years, and I already got the coolness out of it, which was having it return to my life after so many decades, after 2 decades or whatever.
I'd like to redecorate your whole studio with pictures of red.
That'd be cool. So anyways, Andy, if you want that painting, it's yours. I will mail it to you. I'll even cover the cost of the mailing.
Red's even yelling about it.
So, all you gotta do is send me your mailing address if you want to do that.
Red's even complaining.
Red's not complaining about that. She's telling you, Kimberly, why are you so attached to objects? That's what she's saying. I'm not nearly as attached to objects as Kimberly is. And this isn't even Kimberly's object. If I throw away like a lid that she's set aside for, she lost the bottom part, but she's kept the lid in the attic somewhere in a box. If I throw it away, she'll somehow intuit that and yell at me because she might have needed that lid 6 years from now if she found another bottom to that thing.
No, because it lost its lid at some point and then got put away. And the reason I even have it still is because I eventually want to put them together, and I love my things. Look at Delilah's bedroom. She loves her things.
No, if she loved them, she'd take care of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't love my things. I mean, I do have certain things that I love. Like, I love my guitar.
She's bringing her friend.
Who's her friend?
Katrina.
Have you met Katrina before?
Yeah, she's just some young girl.
Oh, well. Don't forget, I do type people for money. I've got typing tomorrow with a lady who emailed me and paid me. And if you'd like to do it, it's 75 minutes. And you can PayPal me at paypal.me/twfp. Obviously, my email address is not sewardsire.gmail. It's at gmail.com, but Kimberly wrote that there, so.
What?
My email address is obviously not sewardsire.gmail.
Oh.
It's at gmail.com. But regardless, people will understand that. It's fine. Everybody will be able to figure that out.
I want to redo your sign anyway.
Okay.
That's our whiteboard. That's not even what I should
That's not a proper sign.
No, that's just in the meantime.
Yeah. And it's something that I think everybody does it, enjoys it, and thinks it's worth the money. So if you'd like to do that, you can do those things. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Frank James, for providing a video that I wanted to respond to. And I think it's a pretty good video in general. I think you're pretty good in general. I like your videos. I don't usually like watch it all the way to the end, but you're pretty good.